Now we're going into 2017. 2017 adds up to 28. 20 plus 17, which is an 8, is 28. 2 and 8 are 10, 1 and a 0 is a 1. So it's a brand new beginning. Courage, rebirth, new beginnings, new opportunities, new direction. So out of the year of cleansing a lot of emotions within the cup of humanity and learning to see very clearly what's going on in the world, then we have to find our backbone and stand strong and to actually reevaluate and look at quite tough lessons, look at life as in real life. This is real, the real world. This is factually what's happening in the world. And the 28 is quite a bullish energy. It's a forceful energy. For example, I was looking at the when we actually went in 2007 was the very beginning of the credit crisis, and then we had 2008, which is when we had the actual credit crisis. But 2007 was a 27-9 year the same. So now we've just 2016 is a 27-9. So we know people have been very worried, for example, in the financial markets about another crash. And we know that happened in a 28-10 year, which was 9 years ago, and that we're coming into a 28-10 1 year. But we don't need to repeat those cycles. As I was saying, it's about lessons learning, but already the headlines are saying we're overspending, there's people are putting so much on credit at the moment. So this is just one area of finance, but we need to learn from the past and to grow up and to accept responsibility. And in fact, the 2017 is about balancing the spiritual and the material aspects. So this is like having two worlds within one. The inner world is the world of soul. That's where we find inner connection. It's where we connect with our soul. It's where when we close our eyes, we all feel as one. The outer world is our personality. So you're talking about our physical life, our emotional life, our intellectual learning and understandings, and what we want. It's all about our desires in life. But these two worlds are very different. And they are actually brought together through the alignment with spirit, and that's what the number 8 does. It brings spirit and matter together so that they can live and work together. Of course we have the right to fulfill our desires, but also we need to serve humanity and to put other people first. And also, as I was saying, number 1 is about courage to be ourselves, to grow up, to accept responsibility, to go for what we want, and to pioneer a new path. So I've put together a few words for each month of the year, which I thought you could reflect upon yourselves. If you'd like to write these words down, you can, or simply think about them now. So my word for January 2017 is opportunities. Okay, it's about opportunities, it's about inspiration. And do we all go for opportunities when they're placed in front of us? Not always. Not always, because opportunities mean change. It means we have to let go of something before we can allow the new in. So for a lot of people, particularly if they're insecure emotionally or very fearful, we're not going to go for the opportunities. But also talking about humanity, because it's an 11 at 2911 is a master number. So we're saying service to the group, service to humanity. Let's go for opportunities that are going to build bridges with humanity. Okay, the challenging word for January is safety net. So what do we do when we don't want to go for something? We rely on our best friend or our mates or our regular routine. We fall back into things that make us feel secure. We don't want to make that break. But that's okay, there's no criticism, because when we're ready, we do. The next month, February, the word is clearing. Clearing. What does that mean to you, clearing? Well, that's a big thing. If you think of university is a very grown-up educational qualification that takes you forward and fast forward in life. So actually that is a big step for you, and I can acknowledge why that's so important. So clearing that, yeah. Thank you, and that's good. That's all to do with perception, and it's the way we all see this energy, this word, is important to us, so thank you. Anybody else? clearing? Exactly. And clearing will often mean needing to let go of something so that you can move forward. So the other side of that is scattering. Scattering of energy, scattering of emotions, too busy, too many fingers in too many pies, and unfocused. But that's okay. That's can help you to let go. And then in March, the word is motivation. That's a strong word, isn't it? In a 1 year that's saying, please find courage to be yourself, to pioneer that new path. Motivation. That can only come from within. There are lots of life coaches around who will help you or motivate you with exercise or with your lifestyle, but actually true motivation can only come from within. Does that mean anything? It's anybody's life here? Motivation? So the opposite of that is resistance. Resistance to moving forward, resistance to growing up and accepting responsibility. Complete resistance. And again, the challenges don't mean bad with numerology and the qualities. The challenges are there to be recognized so that we can overcome them. It's a bit like laziness. Once you overcome laziness, you can achieve a lot. But you need to recognize the quality before you can actually break through. So then we have April, which is escapism. Escapism. Why would you want to run away and escape? Things that you don't like, you don't want to look at, maybe emotionally. Maybe your job, you have to face facts about your relationship or about life in general, also talking about the world in general. It's not always as we'd like it, to say the least. The other side is response. What is your response to these experiences that you're going through? Because that's what's going to be important. In May, we have building bridges. And I wrote down democracy, and then I was pondering upon democracy. And I was thinking, this is really quite a new concept that's been born in humanity, because true democracy means something coming from the people. It's the opposite of leadership. So if we were in a true democracy, there would be no leaders, there would just be groups working together. And even if you think of thousands of years ago when we had tribes or Native American tribes or whatever who were extremely wise, there would always be an elder. But with true democracy, it's groups of people coming together to lead together and maybe take it in turns to do jobs within that group. So the concept, for example, in politics of democracy, can you imagine that now? But that was an energy that's starting to come through in May, and possibilities for breaking through with more group work. And the other side of it, I wrote exclusivity. Exclusivity is the opposite of teamwork, is the opposite of group work, is the opposite of thinking of what's best for the group. And then in June, pervasiveness. Again, do we have any, how do you see pervasiveness? Or something that's pervasive? Life has a way, if you look at the TV screen, I was saying I talk about Aleppo or about the American elections or about Euro elections, they were pervasive. They were relentless and pervasive. They got through to every layer of your skin. Somehow, didn't they? You could not escape. So you had to go inward and internalize and see what it meant to you. So pervasiveness, how do you see it? Yes, how one is affected by the levels of change, really. And that's in June. And the other side of that I put, which is about closing doors. Sometimes we need to close doors, to say no. Then in July, the word is humility. Because we have a 28-10-1 year, which is going to pioneer that, as building a new world of unity, courage, innovation, great for innovation, leadership. But we need humility to serve the light, to serve the oneness, to serve the group. And the other side is justice. These are very powerful words. Then in August, In August, humanity is going to be digging deep. It's about digging deep. What does that mean? Having to go to your inner resources, not being able to rely on anybody else. And then in September, we have a 37-10-1, and we're in a 28-10-1 year, so we know there's tremendous amount of new energy, breakthrough, pushing through with things. You know, when you need a bit of a push to get you into that next step or to do something. Well, this energy, this drive comes from within ourselves, from spirit through into the physical, through our soul, and drives us forward. So that's an exciting time, new paradigm, looking at life in a different way, shifts in consciousness, because the way I use numerology is esoteric numerology, is very much to do with helping the rising consciousness through awakening ourselves, awakening our souls, so that we can learn to serve. And the word there was evasion. Evasion. Okay. October, breakthrough month. It's actually a very powerful month of extremes, October 2017. And a big time for us to grow up, to wake up. Again, rising consciousness, awakening, putting us in front of very powerful karmic experiences. Karma means big lessons. It means things that you can't avoid, that you need to look at. 2010 to 2022 in esoteric numerology, in the Connaissance School of Numerology where I practice, we call them karmic numbers. Karmic numbers help us to build a new order. They help us to look at deep, really important big questions. And those karmic numbers run for 12 years, and 12 is the number for laws, law and order. So it means for certainly for this century, if not for the millennium, we're laying down a blueprint or a plan of life far ahead. So we need to keep checking ourselves, checking what we're doing physically, emotionally, mentally, from a soul perspective, spiritual perspective. That's why the lessons, they do seem tougher, the things we have to deal with now on a day-to-day basis. I don't want to talk about politics, but I think you understand what I mean. So so October is a month of breakthrough. Then in November, I've written The Beyond. Because it's about going beyond our boundaries, going beyond our expectations, going beyond our thoughts, our mindsets. It's about expansion in every way. And the challenging side of that is it can be very overpowering. You know, suddenly you're in your own little world and a new idea comes along. We don't always welcome in that new idea. I'm talking about humanity. So go beyond, go beyond. And then finally in December, it's about passion and creation. Very potent, powerful month of maybe dramatic change. And I've put the challenge as a 0, but the 0 is actually the best possible potential you could have, because it means the everything and the nothing, or the nothing and the everything. Everything is born out of the 0, out of nothing.